We have a super guest now joining us via Skype, Barrister Paul Edeh, the president of Naija Ratels Football Club of Abuja. Good morning, Barrister Paul Edeh. Welcome to ASO Sports this morning.
Good morning for having me on Outso Sports. I'm very grateful for the privilege and opportunity.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. We are grateful, of course, for you sparing time to join us on the show this morning to provide a lot of knowledge on the country's football. Let's start with the 10-year football development master plan that was, of course, unveiled by President Barr last month. Of course, how can Nigeria as a country benefit from that 10-year master plan? And how can it, of course, translate to football being run as a business in the country in line, of course, with the plans of the Sports Minister, Mr. Sunday Dare?
Well, first things first, I think that the Football Master Plan, I've gone through it. It is at its best a masterpiece uh, because as football stakeholders, we had hitherto before now been aching and eager for a transformational direction where we should see our football in a couple of years' time. Unfortunately, the NFF had originally a couple of days, years back, taken that initiative by setting up a committee that was then headed by the first Vice President, Barrister Sheyi Akinwumi. But for no just reason, that initiative was truncated. So when the minister came up with this idea, selecting the very best of the best to be part of that committee, headed by our own able former NFF president, Mr. Galadima, I just knew that we were going to have a very robust engagement and transparent document. And indeed, the document seeks to first involve football stakeholders. And like you said in your opening remarks about the business of football, it also tries to bring out the element that football is a business. Football naturally or ordinarily should not be funded by government, but as we have it in Nigeria today, we still find government funding almost 80 to 90% of our football of our football. So I see that that document indeed is beneficial because it seeks to give a sense of direction, a sense of inclusiveness. It also seeks to see how football can be developed over a period of time. It captures the essence of having football develop from the immediate, the medium term, and of course the long term plan. And of course, I also believe that if the NFF and key stakeholders are able to implement the 10-year master plan, it's indeed going to see us rejuvenate football and go back to our winning ways.
Okay, fantastic one, Barrister Paul. During that meeting, of course, with the football club owners, the Minister of Youth and Sport, Mr. Sunday Dare, talked about, of course, inclusion of private hands in our club football. So, or what do you think is missing, or what can we do to see football being run as a business, in our country?
First and foremost, a master plan is a plan in the making. It is not indeed something. It is something you rely on to be able to build upon as you climb the ladder of time. Now, as one who has been in the business of football, particularly from the private sector, I want to say that the status quo as it were now does not support or encourage private sector participation. We have a situation where you must have money, you must be a big wig before you come into investing in football. And in other climes, this is not how it is developed. If you see clubs like Manchester City, Manchester United, Chelsea, these are community-based football clubs that individuals funded to get to the level it is now, and that's why they are investors in other climes. But in our climate today, you find a situation where most state governments are the active participants using taxpayers' money, and that in itself does not encourage a situation where the private sector comes in. And secondly, you also look at sponsorship. In other climes like Ghana, Morocco, we have multinationals supporting the game of football. But because we have not created that enabling environment for private investors to come in and yield the maximum benefit they could gain, you find that it is it's a road that is less traveled as a date. So I think that the 10-year master plan encourages a situation where the private sector will be fully and actively involved. And of course, it have that willpower to be able to insist on certain deliverables for the game of football. So I think in itself, it is something that should the NFF Congress should be able to endorse and see to it that it is implemented in due course.
Okay, thank you so much, Barrister Paul Edeh, of course, the owner of Naija Ratels Women Football Club in Abuja. Now, having gone through the document, and you've highlighted some of the challenges that has prevented a number of people from owning football clubs in the country. What specifics did you see in that document that you think, if implemented, will, of course, encourage a number of more privately owned clubs in the country?
Okay, some specifics. First and foremost, it seeks to update the status quo as we have it today, where we have only 44 congressmen deciding the fate of our football, when in actual fact, those that are fully involved in the business of football are not part of the decision-making body. So first, it recommends the expansion of the NFF Congress, whereupon club owners, both in the MPFL, NNL, and NLO, and of course the Nigerian Women's Football League, would have club owners being a part and parcel of the NFF Congress. It also seeks to a larger extent to also bring in key stakeholders in the game of football to be part and parcel of even the board of the NFF. For instance, it proposes that the second vice president should be a woman, for instance. But today, as we have it, only one woman, the Benue State FA chairperson, is the only woman in the NFF Congress, which for us, it's an aberration. So it seeks to also look at a situation where women can actively participate in decision making in the NFF. Then, of course, for me, it also looks at the recommendations of FIFA. It seeks to also bring about the football pyramid, where you find football growing from the grassroots. Our national teams having to get key players from the grassroots, like we have always had it before. So it seeks to also encourage development of football at the grassroots level. So with these, I believe, like I said, I will insist that the master plan is a masterpiece, and as it evolves, we'll still see to it that changes are made, and we'll encourage changes to be made as we climb the ladder of time.
Also, one Barrister Paul, we are 16 days away from the NFF elections. The NFF Electoral Committee has cleared 11 candidates for the presidency, and of course, other individuals that will be filling in the NFF Executive Committee. What are your thoughts on the NFF elections that will be taking place, of course, in Benin City in 16 days' time?
Well, for me, I think that the Electoral Committee have actually, in the first phase of their engagement, shown some level of transparency, whereupon the candidates who met the criteria were clear, particularly the presidency. I look forward to a situation where these congressmen will make a decision that would affect positively and impact positively on our football life. Because in the last couple of years, under the current administration, led by Amaju Pinnick, they've done tremendously well in an attempt to ensure that our football life gets up there. However, their best can still be improved upon. So I look forward to a situation where we'll have a new leadership, not just the president, everybody in the board being amenable to changes. Because if we must make progress in our football life, which is one factor that has kept us together as a people, as a nation, we must ensure that the leaders that are brought in to take over the affairs of NFF moving forward are those that truly have the interest of football in their heart, and not men and women who seek in any event to better their own lot. In football, if we run football very well, there is everything in it for everybody, including journalists. Journalists like yourself should be traveling abroad like every other country for training in sports, particularly in football. But today, we just find a few persons benefiting from the largesse. So I want a situation where we have an all-inclusive NFF, where people like me, who are in the private sector, will be supported and encouraged to continue doing what we're doing. People like you, who are journalists, will report without looking forward to a brown envelope at the end of the day, if the right climate or environment is created. So that's what I look forward to in the coming election. And more importantly, I want someone who supports and will encourage football development from the grassroots. Someone with a pedigree that you can count on, that he has done it before, he will do it again. Someone who can look at and say, look at what you have done in your state. Bring it on in running football. So that's my take on that.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. And talking about grassroots football, your club, Naija Ratels, you are renowned, of course, for bringing a number of unknown players who did so well last season. Your team qualified for the Super Six in Benin, and of course, also did relatively well. What is the state of the preparations? I know the team is in the Betty of Basaki Invitational currently. What is the state of preparations for next season's NWFL season? And what one or two changes are you looking forward to in the season that is coming? I remember there was an issue involving your team around shirt sponsorship and all that. So what is the state of preparedness of your team, and what are you looking forward to in next season's NWFL?
Since you raised the issue of the shirt sponsorship, I think it also affords me a better opportunity to also speak on that. What happened really was, we had a shirt sponsor. Our shirt sponsor were a local brand, Haggai, and of course they brought jerseys that were made for us by another brand. And we said no. Nigeria, for instance, wears Nike. You can't go, Nigeria cannot go to a CAF tournament or even a FIFA tournament, and FIFA will make jerseys with Adidas on it and give to Nigeria, or even Pugel or any other brand. Nigeria has a shared sponsorship deal with Nike, and of course that cannot change. And that was the argument we had. But of course, the powers that be felt that we were wrong, and we were trying to insist, and that's why there was that whatever. But eventually, I think reason prevailed. Even though the issue is still ongoing, in that we're fined 2 million naira, and we insist that no, we cannot be fined that kind of amount of money for insisting that the right thing be done. So that is that about that. As to the state of preparation of Naija Ratels, like you rightly noted, Naija Ratels is a grassroots team. We have been able to carry children from secondary school. Some of them are still in school as we speak, put them on scholarship, and they are doing wonders today. And my belief has always been that if we nurture these talents from the grassroots, they have the capacity and the propensity to offer and give us what we used to have in those days, in the days of Kano Wanko, Finidi George, Rashidi Yakini, and all these lots that made us proud by winning the Olympics in 1996. And that's what I have sought to do, to pick children from the streets, give them the opportunity that they have today. And as to injecting new legs, no. What we have been able to do is to consistently train the ones we have. And we believe that the ones we have the capacity, the tenacity to be able to deliver what we seek to achieve by winning the league. And if we continue this way, I assure you that if we had our first stint in the Super Six and we were able to perform the way we did, with the level of preparation we have now, and of course with the way they played in the Betty of Asset kickoff, even though they lost their quarter-final match to Nasarawa Mazon 3-2, but they put up a good fight. And I'm sure that at the drawing board, the coaching crew know what to do to be able to enter the league.
Definitely, we wish the team the very best, of course, in the coming season. But for you as a club owner in the Nigerian Women Football League, what has been the experience and the journey so far?
Well, the experience and the journey has been that I have met a very, very fierce terrain. You know, when your passion is about ensuring that the lives of these young girls that you pick from the street is bettered, and a few persons sit back there and feel that their role is to bring you down, you find it very difficult. But you see, what has encouraged me over time is that in spite of the difficult terrain, there have also been some very sweet individuals in the system that have consistently sought to support private sector investors like myself, FC Robo, and even Royal Queens, who are currently in the league. And I know that with the 10-year master plan, it will give us a sense of belonging to be able to do what we're doing without any sense of...
Okay, Barrister Paul there, of course, hopefully we'll be able to join us back in the next few seconds. Of course, sharing his expertise on the 10-year football master plan. Okay, he's back now. You can conclude your thoughts, Barrister Paul. Okay, of course, let's see if he can still join us. So, Dami, it's been an interesting one. Naija Ratels, like he did share with us, a grassroots club. Okay, he's back. Go on, Barrister Paul.
Okay, sorry, I got cut off there by the network. So, in the final analysis, I believe that Nigeria is a virgin area where the private sector investors can thrive. Let's not give up in spite of the funding that is required. If you make up your mind to be able to invest in football, this is the right time to do so, particularly that FIFA and CAF are insisting on grassroots sports development in terms of football.
Okay, thank you so much. Just finally, the Super Falcons, they've not really had a good year. And we are just a few months away to the FIFA Women's World Cup in Australia and New Zealand. What level of changes should we be looking at this squad? Should we continue with our coach? He has brought in a lot of players based in the US and other parts of the world. What level of changes should the NFL be looking at with the Falcons side of the Women's World Cup?
Well, I think that the first thing that I don't think that we should change the coaches for now. Let them continue, because it will be difficult for us to now begin to source for another coach before he prepares and takes the girl. See what happened when we had the last major tournament where we had to sack our coach. It has never proven to help us. So what I think that the coaching crew should do is to look inward. Let them come back to the drawing board, pick young players from Nigeria, young players that are playing in our national league. Let them look for those girls and push in, inject fresh blood. Yeah, we need a couple of the current players to be in the team, but we need fresh and energetic young players that can go out there and give us what we need. I think that's what we need. And in any event, if the current coaching crew are unable to look that way, then of course we also look at the coaches that we have in Nigeria. We understand the terrain. We keep exporting young players abroad. Why don't we carry these young players and put in our national teams? It will pay us better, I assure you.
Okay, thank you so much, Barrister Paul Edeh, President of Naija Ratels Football Club of Abuja, for joining us, of course, via Skype this morning on the program. We look forward to of course, having you back and possibly also being live in the studio with us in the nearest future.
Thank you for having me.